Hello and welcome to Voices of Agriculture here on RFD. I'm Gene Hall and we're coming to you once again from the Lone Star State of Texas, where I'm standing in front of the brand new Texas Farm Bureau Training and Conference Center in Waco. We'll have video on that in just a moment, but first up, many Americans have a romantic view of ranching in this state, but most of that is centered on cattle. But as Matt Felder reports, a different kind of livestock is making its presence felt on the farms and ranches of the Lone Star State.
It doesn't take a genius to spot a goat in a cow herd, but a lot of cowboys are placing bets on these small-statured animals and finding the odds overshadow their beloved bovines. Demand for goats is increasing at a faster clip than any other type of livestock. Proof is in the dollars producers find at the sale barn.
Right now, the goat market is very good, very lucrative. Those of us in ranching are just like farmers. We need to diversify so we can find a good market. So I would say the goat market is the strongest market in the ranching industry right now.
McGehee has raised sheep and goats on his ranch in Mertzen since 1976. This land along the Edwards Plateau is ideal for the sheep and goat industry.
Wait a minute, $1.48, sir.
Just up the road in San Angelo is Producers Livestock Auction Company. It's the largest sheep and goat auction in the U.S.
The sheep numbers have declined in years past, and the goat numbers actually have increased since the 80s. In 1995, we were selling around 15 to 20% goats. That's escalated to about 50% now.
As the U.S. ethnic population has increased, so has the demand. Goats will leave producers' livestock and head to places like New York, New Jersey, Florida, and California. About 3/4 of the world's population eat goat meat on a regular basis.
It's a good red meat. It's low in fat. I call it a family meat. You know, most people, when they're going to be cooking cabrito, you have family over. It's a celebration.
U.S. goat raisers are currently unable to meet the demand. About 750,000 goats are imported into the U.S. each year from Australia and other countries. The short supply has kept prices up.
It seems as though that demand's going to continue to be here with the reduced numbers that we're seeing. The market structure may make an adjustment. We may not see any $1.20 goats this year. They may not get under $1.40 for the top end.
One reason for the short supply lies in part with the prowling predators of West Texas. Bobcats, red foxes, coyotes, and even eagles are major problems. Wildlife services are working to help, but rangers have gone out of business simply because predators have put them in such a bind.
You could lose up to 50 or 60% of your kid crop after they've been on the ground and got some age on them. So it could be bad if you don't get on top of it.
Beyond the basics of supply and demand, goats bring another benefit. Brush and pastures that are grazed by goats one year tend to be the hot spots for deer hunters the next. Grazing triggers new and high-protein growth, leading to not only higher numbers, but higher quality deer. Just another plus for this smaller livestock that seems to pack a huge plus. For Voices of Agriculture, Matt Felder, San Angelo, Texas.
Thank you, Matt. How much do you know about agriculture? Well, many farmers and ranchers in Texas have discovered that the emergency responders to catastrophes and tragedies don't always know what they need to know about agriculture. Well, a group of farmers and ranchers in Travis and Williamson counties held a recent training to address that key issue. Ed Wolf has that report.
How do you shut down a combine? The answer is second nature to Texas farmers, but not to many firemen or EMTs that serve rural areas. It's with this in mind that the Travis and Williamson County Farm Bureaus conducted a first responder training in Taylor. In the course of a few hours, about 30 emergency personnel from 4 counties had the opportunity to spend time with local producers, hearing the lessons experience has taught them.
2 years ago, we did this on a little bit smaller scale and got a very good response, and so we felt like it was time to do it again.
The nearby Case and New Holland dealership Williamson County Equipment provided all sorts of machinery for emergency crews to inspect, including balers and tractors and even a fancy new cotton picker. Dozens of Farm Bureau leaders turned out to man each of the 6 stations, helping responders understand how these pieces of equipment work and some of the issues they might face. Issues like a basket fire on a cotton stripper. A misunderstanding between one volunteer leader and a local fire department surrounding that very problem provided the inspiration for this day of training.
They spent most of their water putting out fire that was on the ground and never came to where the stripper was to help me out with it. And from that point, we decided we needed to try to figure out a better way of doing things, because the cotton was just in a pile out in the middle of a field. It's not going to spread to anything.
Although a fire was the spark of this biannual event, all sorts of emergencies are covered. From overturned combines to arms caught in an auger to farm chemical spills, the responders walk away with a wealth of knowledge they might not have known otherwise.
Out of the 30 people that we had from the emergency response community, maybe 5 or 6 that were really from a farming background. So that tells us that most of our firefighters or our emergency responders don't come from a rural area anymore.
You have a kill switch right over here.
The hope is such training will help prevent rescuers from diving headlong into something that could make a situation worse. Unfortunately, training sessions like this are few and far between, but if the feedback from these public servants are any indication, ones that are in high demand.
To be able to find out what controls to what and what we could do as far as getting someone out of a situation for a worst case scenario, I'm very grateful to have a part of it and be able to be on the receiving end of the knowledge that was passed around today, and trying to be a sponge and soak up as much as I could.
For Voices of Agriculture, Ed Wolf, Taylor, Texas.
More right after this on Voices of Agriculture.
It's a grassroots voice in Austin and Washington for farmers and ranchers like me.
It's educational and scholarship opportunities for young people like me.
It's money-saving benefits for member families
like us.
What is Texas Farm Bureau? I am.
I am. I am.
From the produce fields of California to the stars, from migrant farm worker to astronaut, Matt Felder has the story.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Going up in space, I mean, that's just an experience that words just not do it justice. But just the feeling, laying there on your back, nice and quiet, all of a sudden the 3 engines light up.
We have a go for main engine start.
The 2 solid rocket boosters light up.
2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery.
Things start shaking and rattling, lots of noise, and then all of a sudden you feel the thrust of taking off.
Jose Hernandez's story is of determination and perseverance, one that today places him among the world's most elite as part of the U.S. space program. His journey begins in the fields of California. The son of a migrant farm family, Jose often found himself alongside his parents, plucking strawberries or pulling tomatoes up and down the California coast. Miles from any city, he spent many a boyhood night with his eyes fixed on the heavens. Those stars would light a path to a dream for the young field hand.
Hello, Houston. Sweet 16 has arrived.
Born at the start of the Apollo missions, he watched with his family the grainy television images of men like Neil Armstrong to Harrison Smith, bouncing their way across the lunar surface.
And I said, man, at this point in time, right now they're up there walking on the moon, and there they are on TV, and I'm looking at them and say, how cool is that? And so I remember that's when the dream was born.
Encouraged by a local school teacher, the family settled in Stockton, California. Slowly but surely, Jose worked to make his dreams come true. He excelled at school, achieving a master's degree in electrical and computer engineering. The next 14 years were spent at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. It was there where Jose says he set his sights on rocketing into space.
We're at 50 feet. I was naive enough not to realize that perhaps it was a pretty steep hill to climb. And yet I was glad I was naive enough, because I embarked upon that hill and I just kept going at it and kept going at it.
For 12 years, he applied to the astronaut program. Rejections were to be expected, he admits. Thousands apply each year. He went to work for NASA in 2001. There he was chosen as a finalist 3 times, joining 100 elite candidates at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. As they say, 3rd time's the charm. In May 2004, Jose was welcomed into the astronaut program.
I saw that window of opportunity starting to close, and I said, man, I hope they get me this time, because they're probably going to find something medically wrong with me next time around.
The announcement of STS-128 turned into a dream realized. Jose was going up as a mission specialist and flight engineer.
Roger. 102, auto.
August 28, 2009, Discovery launches just before the stroke of midnight, bound for the space station.
This is Jose Hernandez, adjusting to the zero G, as Kevin can show you there with the pencil.
Taking in a view like no other, miles above the Earth, it's here where agriculture and the space program may seem worlds apart, but not really, Jose says. Space satellites are focused to spot trends in fertility and help offer yield analysis for a range of commodities. Even though his dreams of reaching the stars ultimately came true, Jose has never forgotten his roots.
I think it helped me develop a good work ethic. They're the ones that help put the food, the salads on our table. So a very integral part of our American society. And so I'm happy to have been part of it. And I certainly respect those in that industry, as well as the growers.
As his training continues, Jose currently works at the NASA Office of Legislative Affairs in Washington, D.C. The shuttle fleet will retire after a final mission now set for November. The agency's scheduled next generation, the Orion Crew exploration vehicle, won't be ready until at least 2015. In the meantime, the only missions to space will be 6-month rotations aboard the space station. Astronauts will be flown there via the Russian Soyuz spacecraft. Jose hopes to be assigned to such a mission, daring to dream once again.
A lot of times, we're our own worst enemies and we put barriers in front of us. Have a lot of heart, be able to roll up your sleeves and work hard at it and persevere. Don't give up. If they tell you no the first time, it doesn't mean you can't get it the second time. Improve yourself for that second chance. Make yourself better that third or that fourth chance, and then you'll finally reach it.
For Voices of Agriculture, Matt Felder, Houston.
Please stay tuned. We'll have more on Voices of Agriculture right after this.
Decades ago, Americans started leaving the farm for other professions and pursuits. The farmers that stayed fed America and much of the world. Today we grow more food than ever, and it's better, safer, and healthier. We live in the land of plenty, thanks to modern agricultural technology and the skills of our farm and ranch families. This message is brought to you by the Texas Farm Bureau, the voice of Texas agriculture. Today's abundance of food and fiber is brought to you by America's farmers and ranchers.
Modern agriculture is about many things, not the least of which is conservation, making the best use of limited resources. The Natural Resources Conservation Service has many tools to assist farmers and ranchers with that. Bob Stovall has the story.
After a 15-year absence from the ranching business, Freestone County rancher and Farm Bureau member Wesley Ratcliffe was looking for all the land management assistance he could get. Much of it came from the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service, the NRCS.
When I first got started in the operation, I retired from another job and decided to get into the ranching basically full-time. I spoke with other ranchers to see where technical assistance was available, and I found out that the NRCS was one of the agencies that would assist farmers and ranchers in getting the operation going. I'd been out of the ranching business for about 15, 16 years. And I know I needed to upgrade my skills in order to be current with what technology was doing today. That was one of the reasons I went to the NRCS. And the first thing we did was put together a plan. The NRCS rep came by and we sat down and put up a ranch management plan that I still try and follow today.
Erosion control, rotational grazing, and planting native grasses were written into his conservation plan.
They also helped me with the stabilization project by helping me plant grasses in places where the grasses needed to be planted.
I guess probably one of the most important things that ranchers need to realize is that they're in the grass business. Grass is their crop. That is the crop that they produce. They harvest it with livestock, and the product that they're selling is cattle that is a product of the grass.
We have a cow-calf operation, and we have a registered herd operation. We raise Charbray, registered Charbray, one of the last raisers of that particular breed.
NRCS provides financial and technical assistance to Ratcliffe and many other Texas ranchers through the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, EQIP, which is authorized by the Farm Bill.
And in Texas, I can tell you that over the last Farm Bill, there was almost $500 million federal dollars invested in the conservation programs on private lands in this state. Now that's a lot, and I'm proud to say that we were able to do that as an agency.
The Farm Bill helped me improve my operation greatly. The main thing it did for me was to help me get it done when it needed to be done, which was now, versus me waiting until I had time to do it. By giving me a time schedule, a timeline that I need to follow, then I guess my corporate experience tells me that when you have a timeline, you follow the timeline. I followed it, and it allowed me to get practices in place a lot quicker than I would have if I'd been trying to stretch them out myself and do it alone.
While the Farm Bill helped with conservation practices, his daughter Kim became his ranch manager after graduating from Texas Christian University's Ranch Management Program.
The NRCS has many training sessions that they take place throughout the year, and on a yearly basis I check the schedules that they have, and I take some of their grazing sessions and some of their soil test sections, and etc. It's very valuable. NRCS has helped in situations whereby if you don't understand something on the ranch, you can actually call your local representative, and they will help you at any time, and they will come out and assist you on some problems that you might have.
For more information on NRCS programs and services, contact your local NRCS field office in your county's USDA Service Center.
We'll have more on Voices of Agriculture right after these messages.
Agriculture is Texas' renewable industry, not only growing food and fiber for Texas families, but creating 1 in 5 Texas jobs. I'm Mike Barnett, editor of Texas Agriculture. In our publication, you'll read profiles of the trendsetters of agriculture in the Lone Star State. We'll bring you profiles of farmers and ranchers surviving and thriving on the land and the issues shaping the future of rural Texas. Read all about it in Texas Agriculture, an exclusive benefit of your Texas Farm Bureau membership.
You're tuned in to TFB Radio Network,
the #1 agricultural radio news network in Texas, based on the CUME rating in the 2009 Ag Media Research Study.
3 years in the making, the Texas Farm Bureau Conference and Training Center I'm standing in front of right now has many important features and business applications for the largest farm organization in Texas. Take a look at this short video.
Well, the headquarters building next door is a tribute to our past success and to the leaders and staff who have come before. The facility we break ground for today, we dedicate to the future and all those who will become a part of Texas Farm Bureau in whatever capacity.
It's 3 stories. The business continuity level is the lower level. We got ground level is training. Upper level is future expansion, as well as a new board area. The lower level, the business continuity level, is built in such a way that if the top 2 floors were to collapse in a tornado or something, that bottom level will withstand that. It's a 13-inch thick concrete ceiling, 12-inch concrete walls. We can have all sorts of additional meetings here, training. We can have a statewide president's conference. We can have a commodity conference. With the state-of-the-art conference center we have now, it can hold up to 256 people comfortably. We just never had that kind of room here at the Texas Farm Bureau headquarters in Waco.
Several board of directors have talked about it for a number of years, and 2 years ago we made the decision to move forward with it because bringing the casualty company back, we'll need some places to put our secure operations that we use to continue operating in times of disaster. And we've also incorporated a very nice training center into this conference center.
This idea of a bunker type facility for our IS operations has been around now for probably 15 years. It's really kind of been an idea whose time has come, and it's taken that long for it to digest and to come to fruition. The building has been a kind of a labor of love for a lot of people. Our board and our building committee in particular has taken great pain to make it exactly right. It's a beautiful building, state-of-the-art, and of course state-of-the-art changes, but for right now it's probably the latest thing in buildings for Farm Bureau and National.
That's it for this edition of Voices of Agriculture here on RFD. We hope you'll join us again real soon. For details on these and other stories, visit us on the web at www.txfb.org, where you can send me a message or read my blog, Texas Agriculture Talks. I'm Gene Hall for Voices of Agriculture. Thanks for listening.